We think we own the skies. We think we know everything worth knowing about airborne maneuvers. But an elite group of flyers remains the envy of every human air force. Birds of prey. Raptors. Unmatched by any machine are their targeting skills, cunning battle tactics, and nimbleness on the wing. How do raptors fly and hunt? What's their link to human beings? And can we borrow their technologies? For designers of high-performance aircraft, birds of prey are a source of inspiration and of envy. A new tiny camera now lets us ride along with these aces and experience the full splendor of their flight skills. Who are the Raptors? Hawks like the red-tail are able to snag prey with bursts of speed. Vultures have an almost magical ability to soar with only the slightest exertion. Owls are stealth bombers. They are often heard by their prey only after they have been struck. Eagles have landing gear that serves a second purpose, delivering bone-crushing power to prey. Then come the falcons, the most aerobatic force in the sky. Take off with the biggest, fastest, quietest, and deadliest things on wings. The Raptors. It's not an obvious place to raise a family, but a 400-foot stack of a nuclear power plant on the Mississippi River is a beacon for peregrine falcons looking to breed. Conservationist Bob Anderson is checking a nest box. It's a risky job to approach the nest of the fastest of all raptors. How Father Peregrine uses his flight skills to defend his chicks and his mate.
Falcon, her name is Belinda, is so protective of her young that she won't even leave the nest right now to strafe us and attack us.
This nest site is more natural than it looks.
Well, peregrines, for many years we had them nesting in tall man-made structures. Now we've got them back on their historical haunts where they truly belong, on these tall limestone bluffs.
Peregrines like to raise their young on cliffs, where they are safer from ground predators. But any nest is vulnerable to other birds, especially other raptors. The red-tailed hawk can outweigh the peregrine by more than 50%, and the threat it poses to the falcon nest must be answered. The peregrine, though small, is ready to fight. Its maneuverability, and most of all its speed, can overwhelm virtually any intruder. The red-tail never even sees the danger from above. Another win for nature's top gun. Each spring, Anderson and his team check out every known peregrine nest along the upper Mississippi River. That's because these falcons nearly vanished in the mid-1960s. But since the late 70s, the number of successful nests has been increasing. Under the watchful eyes of their human fan club, peregrines have been roaring back.
What do you guess on age? 24 days, maybe 25.
The banded chicks will quickly be returned.
Very nice color.
They need 2 more weeks in the nest before they'll be ready to tear up the skies.
Okay, that's it. Now we switch to female, and this one we have 2 males so far. 2 males.
For people who dream of flight, the closest they can come to being bird of prey is to pilot one of the most nimble jets in the U.S. military, the F-22, nicknamed the Raptor. It makes the fastest turns of any modern fighter.
The way this aircraft is designed, it loves to go fast, and it does not want to slow down.
None of its predecessors has such a large percentage of its surface that's adjustable for flight control.
The aircraft's controlled by a whole lot of movable surfaces, and if you noticed as you walked around this aircraft, they're very large.
A living Raptor's wings and tail are far more adjustable than any airplanes. They can move through greater angles and curve rather than merely swing like a door on a hinge, and even fan out to change shape, all of which adds up to more flight control. If a Falcon and the F-22 were the same size, the bird would outmaneuver the machine in a dogfight, which is no slur against this fast-accelerating aircraft.
The most G's I've ever pulled in a Raptor is 9.5. Feels like a large weight just sitting on your lap, but the problem is you can't, it's not just one section of your body, it's all along your arms, in your face and your neck, it's every piece of your body. Fighter pilots build up an addiction. In a strange kind of way, fighter pilots love to pull G-forces.
If fighter pilots could choose their reincarnations, they'd come back as Falcons. Peregrines seem to love pulling G's as much as any pilot. They experience maximum G's in one of the greatest demonstrations of flight control in any bird. Their signature attack, the stoop. It's in the hunt that peregrine falcons show off an adjustability of flight surfaces far beyond that of any aircraft. To spot prey, peregrines often fly high, up to 3,000 feet, where prey have a hard time seeing them. When a peregrine locks onto a target, it rolls, pulls its wings in, and plunges. Coming out of a stoop, the peregrine feels the highest forces known for large animals, up to 25 Gs.
They're going vertically, wings tucked in. They make minute adjustments as they're falling. It's one of the most exciting things for anybody that's interested in birds.
It takes more than an adjustable tail and wings to make the peregrine such a deadly hunter. Almost every part of its body is tuned for high airspeed. At the speed of the stoop, a grain of sand can strike the eye like a bullet. So an extra eyelid, the nictitating membrane, can be deployed to protect the eyeball. A peregrine's tears are unusually viscous, thanks to a special chemical formula. Ordinary tears would evaporate in a flash. And an unusual breathing system keeps the lungs working at over 200 miles an hour. Falcons have a tiny cone that's thought to keep air from flowing around the nostrils, and instead draws it in. The Falcon's airflow trick would have helped early jets, which used to choke beyond a certain speed. Modern planes have adopted a Raptor-like cone at the air intake. From nose to eyes to wings, all parts of the peregrine's body seem to contribute to its deadly attack. Falconers have long dreamt of what the stoop looks like from the peregrine's point of view. But soon, pictures may replace dreams. Filmmakers have asked engineer Rob McIntyre to design a flyweight camera so that we can experience the skies with nature's top guns.
When you asked for this camera on the back of the bird, it was like, yeah, I love this concept. Icarus and Daedalus wanted to fly, and man has been trying to fly ever since then. If we can put this camera on the bird and see the Earth coming closer to us and pull out of that dive just in time and not crash into it, it's as close as we're ever going to get to flying like a bird. Rob is a genius when it comes to technical things and challenges. He likes challenges to do things that nobody's done before. That's fine.
The first camera test won't be with a peregrine.
Camera's turning on.
Anderson, McIntyre, and team will start with a larger, slower, and calmer Raptor, the red-tailed hawk.
Oh yeah, we'll go do it on that bag rabbit.
Can a tiny camera not only survive the forces of Raptor flight, but also transmit a great picture?
I'll take one more look at that. It's okay. We're hawking here soon.
We're hoping to record the flight, the feathers, the movement to the head, the subtle changes in the wings, and the twisting of the head and the beak.
Should you stay with her? Just make sure she doesn't.
This is the battery right here that Rob developed. Here's the camera itself, and underneath here is the transmitter that sends the signal to our receiver.
What, does it look straight up now?
The receiver, also designed by McIntyre, is every bit as important as the camera.
I might have the camera tilted a little too low.
The team gets its first images from the back of a Raptor. The picture is overexposed and has bands of interference, but it's promising.
This is really very rewarding. I guess sometimes you just gotta go for it.
The next test begins with lots of breakup. To really see the Redtail's flight skills, the signal must be beefed up and the receiver must be made more efficient. No one said it would be easy to operate a miniature television station from the back of a bird.
Thing to tweak. There's one more thing to adjust. There's one more thing to improve on.
On this test, the Hawk discovers the camera. The lesson, an idle Raptor is the devil's playground. The team will need to keep the bird focused, and nothing focuses a Raptor better than prey. Forward over the Redtail's head, the camera offers a view from the cockpit. But to watch flight control, McIntyre now modifies the harness so the camera can point backwards at the tail.
We just needed a small device that was still lightweight but still gave the opportunity to adjust the camera for panning and tilting, or in other words, be able to give us a different point of view or a different perspective from the bird's back. This should do the trick.
How's it feel for tension?
Feels pretty good.
Now, can you see the wires from the harness at all?
Yeah,
the monitor?
Probably, yeah. We got a great big transmitter sitting here, you know.
You guys ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The team is about to witness a key flight surface in action. The rudder-like tail.
She's almost left again. She's coming. No, she's coming. She's going. She's going. She's coming for you. She's coming for you. She's leaned forward again. We might have it in the can, Neil.
The camera reveals how efficiently the tail steers. Tiny adjustments produce big effects. More advances are to come for the camera, but today it reveals the continuous fine-tuning that makes the red-tailed hawk a virtuoso soarer. A much larger Raptor is an altogether different kind of flyer. Falconer and filmmaker Neil Rettig cares for a harpy eagle at his Wisconsin home. Weighing up to 18 pounds and with a 6.5-foot wingspan, this is one of the biggest and strongest eagles.
Good boy. Huh? Yeah, good boy.
Yet despite its huge size, this Central and South American Raptor lives or dies by its skill at weaving through the forest. Maneuverability is its signature talent.
Come on, girl. Come on. Come on. Ha! 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 Good boy.
demonstration. And that's what they do in the rainforest when they're chasing monkeys and things that are really moving fast. Tucking those wings in and just moving that tail as a rudder and making twists and really cool turns to the forest. It's amazing.
Once the harpy grabs prey, it kills with talons so massive and powerful they can pop a monkey's skull or crush a human bone.
Got you. You need some help?
That's right.
Where's your glove? I can get it.
I'm gonna get him off me by just making him move.
I don't know why he did that. He nailed me in the back, but not bad.
The secret of the harpy's supreme maneuverability is how much it's able to adjust its wing shape. How close might aircraft come to matching this? Or to the transformation of the peregrine's wing shape as it rolls into the sky? A test of a radical new morphing wing is taking place at NASA's Langley Research Center in Virginia. Standard aircraft have movable flaps that allow minor adjustments of the wing. But this new design aims at a more profound reconfiguration. Here's the aerodynamic problem. One wing shape is ideal for high, slow cruising to seek a target. But a completely different profile is best for plunging down for the kill. The Peregrine morphs from one configuration to the other, and if today's test goes well, so will this wing.
Like a bird has its feathers that can spread apart and create a greater area, we have the same thing here with the underlying structure and a flexible skin across this that allows it to change shape and gain area.
Will the wing hold together? The team revs up the tunnel. Now in a wind blowing at over 500 miles an hour and at a simulated altitude of 20,000 feet, the wing will morph from cruising to attack mode. Never before has a wing shape changed so much at such a speed and altitude. Engineers have come one step closer to flying like a Raptor. A key characteristic of any flyer is its range. How far can it travel between refuelings? Most Raptors migrate, and so twice a year they need to cover long distances in a short time. Falconers like Dave Kester contribute to what we know about the range of raptors. Luring raptors down from their migratory path is a tethered bird, but it won't be harmed.
Got another red tail over the ridge.
When falconers or researchers see the tag, they'll be able to figure out how far this raptor traveled. Thanks in part to banding, we know that peregrine falcons can travel 1,000 miles non-stop. Ospreys up to 400 miles. The lesser kestrel, 600 miles. Other measurements during this quick layover fill in the portrait of raptors. They weigh from 1 1/4 ounces to 33 pounds. The smallest has a wingspan of 12 inches, the biggest 11 feet. As they grow, raptors change shape in a fascinating way. A young red-tailed hawk has longer feathers than an adult. Think of them as training feathers. They provide more stable flight. In a similar way, a new pilot doesn't start out in a high-performance jet. Trainers offer more stability at the cost of speed and performance. Young bald eagles, too, have longer feathers than their white-headed parents. Up to an extra half-foot of wingspan. The eaglets have grown large, thanks in part to take-out meals brought by their parents from the Mississippi. The spring thaw along the river releases a bounty. Killed and trapped by winter ice, millions of gizzard shad are suddenly up for grabs. Using their full complement of aerial talents, bald eagles tussle. Bald eagles are gentle flyers. They catch free rides on an invisible elevator of rising warm air, then circle on the lookout for more food. The technique is called thermal soaring. Another large raptor, the golden eagle, is also a thermal soaring expert. What's it like to fly like an eagle? To experience the flight of the golden eagle, the onboard camera team has reworked their technology. Because eagles have a big flight range, the camera now sports a more powerful transmitter. For the same reason, the receiver has been completely redesigned to pick up fainter signals.
To launch a bird like this into the wind off your fist and watch it reach up into the sky, as close, I think, as a person could be to flying yourself. What do you think, big guy? You ready to go? He's got to find that little pocket where the wind is just right, and he'll start slope soaring off the side of this little hill.
As skilled as the golden eagle is at soaring, that's not its signature flight skill.
The biggest thing about them really is their power and endurance. The windier it is, the stronger and the more stable the eagles get, which is amazing because a lot of birds, the wind drives them down, but the eagle has the ability to just stay rock solid in heavy wind.
This power pays off in the hunt.
You watch an eagle pursue a rabbit, and it looks a little slow and cumbersome, but then you realize that the eagle is just eating up ground and closing on that speedy jackrabbit with relative ease. And I don't think even I realized this until seeing the footage of the onboard camera.
While searching for prey, golden eagles can thermal soar for hours. But other raptors use a completely different kind of soaring. The turkey vulture uses a technique called dynamic soaring. Here's how it works. The raptor starts off in still air, in the wind shadow of a hill. Then it rises across what's called the shear layer into fast-moving air, and so gets a kick in airspeed. A U-turn increases its airspeed even more. Finally, the bird descends into still air, turning back to its original position. But it's now gained tremendous energy with very little exertion. Can pilots borrow this technique? In Palmdale, California, Kyle Polson prepares a model glider at an ideal spot for dynamic soaring.
This location is really good because we get the hot desert and the cold beach, and the desert is sucking the air right out. It comes up over this hill right here, creates a perfect shear layer where the air is moving off like this, and there's calm air down here.
Each time the plane rises into the layer of fast-moving air, it picks up energy, and each turn is a chance to pick up more speed as the wings catch wind like a sail.
Oh man, the energy you get is unbelievable. Yeah, you'll be going 150, and then next lap around you're going 180, and then 220, just from the energy of the air.
At Edwards Air Force Base in California, Captain Randy Gordon is one of the first fighter pilots to train in dynamic soaring.
Alright, so the maneuver we're going to fly is called a hairpin. In order to make it work, I'm trying to figure out which way the winds are blowing.
Gordon starts with a dive to pick up speed.
I'm going to start the dive, and we're going to do this one off to the right. So there's 50 knots, 55, 60, 65, 70, there's 75, there's 85.
Now Gordon will pull up to expose the belly of his plane to wind blasting over a hill.
Start here, and then this end of the maneuver. Hold the nose up about 20 to 30 degrees less high.
When the glider returns to the starting point of the maneuver, Gordon will check for faster speed.
And now we're heading back downhill, looking for about 7,400. There's 65, 70, 75, 85, and about 90 right there. So roughly about the same altitude with a little bit more in airspeed.
Aeronautical engineers are just now beginning to tap this invisible source of energy that raptors have been exploiting for millions of years. Birds of prey are nature's most skilled aerialists, but a flying machine is only as good as its eyes and ears. And here too, in the realm of the senses, raptors excel. Especially in the hunt. Voles are a favorite prey of the great gray owl in northern Minnesota. But But how does this owl detect the rodents beneath the snow? It uses its ears. A structure called the ruff amplifies sound like hands cupped behind the ears. Not only that, the owl can change the shape of its ruff to focus sound. Like us, these raptors can find the left-right position of a noise, but the great gray owl has a trick that we don't, allowing it to pinpoint a sound. Its ears are at different heights, and one points up, the other down. Perhaps to avoid interfering with their own refined hearing, owls are stealth flyers, the quietest of any bird. Compare the sound of an owl to that of a raven. You can hear a raven's feathers 100 feet away. The great gray owl uses 3 stealth technologies. Feathers on the wing's leading edge have a comb-like structure that smooths the passing air. A unique fluffy down over the body dampens turbulence. And the wing's trailing edge is critical. A smooth edge would cause air flowing above and below to collide and rumble. But fine structures break up the flow to minimize this source of noise. Aeronautical engineers would love to adapt owl technology to quiet planes. For one thing, noise is energy that isn't going into lift and propulsion. Engines have improved so much in the last quarter century that their noise has dropped by half. It's now the landing gear, flaps, and slats that make much of the noise. The F-117 Nighthawk is among the stealthiest of U.S. military aircraft. Buried engines and an absence of afterburners make it extremely quiet. So once an adversary hears the Nighthawk, it's usually too late. The F-117 also has a coating that helps reduce its radar profile to that of a small bird. If some owls have keen ears, others rely more on sharp eyes. The northern hawk owl can spot small prey a quarter-mile away. What's more amazing is that this raptor, among the fastest of owls, can keep a vole in its crosshairs during a high-speed chase. Raptors are renowned for their eyesight. Eagle eye is no idle phrase. The kestrel enhances its eyesight with a special flight technique. It's an ace at hovering, something a few winged aircraft can do, but not very efficiently. While the kestrel's body makes continuous adjustments, its eyes remain nearly fixed in the sky. Think image stabilization. If the eyes are moving, it's harder to see prey on the run. When eyes are locked, movement pops out. Kestrels have another visual trick for unmasking their prey. They see colors that we can only imagine. Our own eyes turn up nothing in this scene, but Kestrels see into the ultraviolet, revealing telltale splotches, the urine of voles which happens to reflect ultraviolet light. Peregrine falcons also have extraordinary vision, and the way they target prey reveals how their eyes work. Peregrines don't usually follow a straight line. Oddly, they take a longer, corkscrew path. Why? The peregrine's sharpest line of sight is not straight ahead like ours, but angled off at 45 degrees. So a peregrine has two options for chasing prey. It could turn its head and fly straight toward the target, but that doubles drag and reduces speed. Instead, the peregrine keeps its head straight, but then to maintain the prey on the sharp part of its eye, the raptor must fly along a curve. It's a longer path, but at greater speed, the fastest way to the target. The peregrine's best vision is often an angle, but it has another sweet spot in its eye that points nearly straight ahead. As a target gets close, the raptor switches to this second system. It's for stereoscopic vision, telling the peregrine the distance of friend or foe. Without stereo vision, raptors could still hunt in the air, but once on the ground, they lose track of their prey. Today's fighter jets have their own multiple vision technologies, separate systems for navigation and targeting. Stereo and UV vision, image stabilization, all's fair in the raptor hunt. But of all the raptor's visual talents, the most legendary is something basic: acuity. If normal human vision is 20/20, then some raptors have 27, seeing detail 3 times finer than we can. What makes raptors' eyes keener than ours? One factor, in the human eye, light is diffused by blood vessels on its way to the retina. In a raptor's eye, blood vessels don't get in the way of the image. Even more remarkable is that raptors have a built-in telephoto lens. A dimple in the retina magnifies part of the image by 40%. The better to see prey with. Raptors have other visual tricks. To adjust to changing light, raptors' pupils are controlled by a different and faster type of muscle than the human eye. You can have the finest senses and flight skills in the world, but you won't accomplish the mission unless you put them to good use. And that means clever tactics and shrewd strategy. It's here that raptors truly excel. On a competitive battlefield, brains will carry the day. Near Austin, Texas, as the sun goes down, red-tailed and Swainson's hawks gather at the mouth of a cave. They are here for one reason only: Dinner is about to be served. Every dusk, Mexican free-tailed bats flood from their shelter to feast on insects. This exodus breaks a fundamental rule of the battlefield. Avoid predictable moves. The hawks are smart enough to detect the pattern and exploit it. When you're in the right place at the right time, you can almost hunt with your eyes closed. Some raptors have even cannier tactics. They use other creatures as their ground troops.
Get him in here, right here. Good girl, Joey. Come on, Dolly.
When a rabbit reveals its location, that's half the battle for a bird of prey like a goshawk. Because humans scare up prey, raptors can be natural allies, which makes the sport of falconry possible.
This is a relationship that comes right out of nature. Somewhere in our ancestral past, there have been falcons and goshawks and people crossing paths. My falconry provides an unusual perspective, a privileged point of view. What's so neat about this goshawk is that I can be a part of all the aspects of its life. I'm still fascinated by the whole interplay of nature, the whole food chain that's going on. I get to participate at the top of the food chain down.
For some birds of prey, an alliance with a person can mean more efficient hunting. But one kind of raptor uses an additional kind of teamwork.
Okay, where's the fife and drum?
Harris's hawks hunt in a well-coordinated squadron. In nature, their cooperation begins even before the hunt is on. They form a living totem pole in which the top bird has a great vantage point. They keep a careful eye on the jackrabbit and each other. At the perfect moment, some of the hawks will flush, while others wait. The jackrabbit outweighs each hawk 4-1, but it's no match for these wolves of the sky. It's a solo hunter, however, that conducts the most skillful ambush of any raptor. It's the peregrine, or in this case, a peregrine gerfalcon hybrid. Steve Shingren knows better than most how peregrines take prey. In the high country of Wyoming, that prey is sage grouse. And a falcon targeting a grouse is like an air-to-air missile.
To our eye, it looks as if they punch it as they go by. If you
looked at it with super slow motion, you'd see that they actually grasp and it tears loose, and it gives a very dramatic effect of unbalancing that bird that's in flight. If you've ever been pushed by someone when you're running, you see how easily you can fall down. Well, a bird in flight that's hit by another bird is often easily set off balance. The stoop of the peregrine will be the ultimate quarry for the onboard camera team.
We falconers kind of live for the stoop. We love it when our peregrines climb very high. My ultimate goal is to get that vertical stoop of the falcon plummeting to earth at hundreds of miles an hour.
The previous camera test revealed the powerful hunting flight of the golden eagle. Is this technology now ready to capture the stoop of the peregrine?
I'm feeling a lot better about transmission. I'm feeling a lot better about the reception. But I gotta reduce weight. Period. We may only get one shot at this. He's actually cut away all bits of metal that aren't useful and all bits of plastic. It has it down to 2.7 ounces. I mean, that's incredible. I mean, that's camera, battery, and transmitter.
The peregrine is calm, but the camera may be sitting awkwardly.
Well, we have it mounted on, but as I suspected, it's the stability of it is.
Yeah.
The camera's laying on top of the wing. That's right.
She'll put her wing out in a minute. Yeah, don't piss her off.
That's right.
We got loose.
Normally, this peregrine would rocket up to thousands of feet, but it's struggling with the pack.
This is kind of foreign. I mean, we're actually putting a saddle on their back. This is new. They've never had anything like this. Not only the camera, but the backpack that holds the camera in place.
The team moves the camera closer to the peregrine's center of balance. They send up a kite, a familiar target that lures the peregrine to high altitude.
The wind's picked up the kite vertical today.
This time, the falcon blasts off. Its mind focused on prey.
You just tell by his wing beat, he's smoking up already. He's already at 300. He's still climbing. Turns into a falling, pointed, missile towards the earth. Sometimes you'll see the falcon just move its head a little bit, and then a half a second later its body will follow. Something traveling at that speed, you just don't see these subtle moves that allow the peregrine falcon to do what no other bird in the world can do.
Ever since we've looked to the skies, we've wanted to fly like the Raptors. And step by humble step, we're doing our best to make the dream of Icarus a reality.
This nature program is available on DVD for $19.99 plus shipping. To order, call 1-800-336-1917.
Next time on Nature, the Andes, the longest chain of mountains on Earth. On its back, 7 spines. At its head, fire. This is a land of extremes, and yet life thrives. Strange, magical, and rich with history.
To learn more about what you've seen on this nature program, visit pbs.org.